Bernie Sanders is undoubtedly boosting his resume ahead of his 2020 presidential campaign. And one other bullet point you could add to his resume of policies that he is talking about is a federal jobs program, something that I've talked about on the program that we desperately need in this country. So he's proposing a jobs guarantee for every single American in the country, and not just any job. Jobs with a living wage, actually well-paying jobs. So he hasn't actually released the plan yet, but preliminary details have been leaked to the press, and it seems great. So according to John Bowden of The Hill, Senator Bernie Sanders is set to announce a federal jobs proposal that would guarantee a job with at least a $15 per hour wage and health benefits to every adult American who wants or needs one, the Washington Post reports. The senator is still in the early stages of crafting the plan, according to the Post, which would provide a job or required training for any American. Sanders' office has yet to release the details of the plan's funding, but previous large-scale projects proposed by the Vermont Progressive have involved ending tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans and corporations. The proposal would have trouble gaining enough Democratic support to get real traction, and conservatives have long said a jobs promise is unsustainable and unaffordable, citing costs, the effects on the private sector, and the possibility of inflation. It completely undercuts a lot of industries and companies, Brian Reitel of the conservative-leaning Manhattan Institute told the Post. There will be pressure to introduce a higher wage or certain benefits that the private sector doesn't offer. So this is a phenomenal idea, but think about the main criticism that conservatives are lobbying against this. It's going to force the private sector to compete with Bernie Sanders' federal jobs program, which will basically force them to pay their employees higher wages and offer them benefits. That's a good thing. Why aren't they already offering them higher wages and benefits? Corporations are making record profits. Republicans just voted to give them trillions of dollars in tax cuts, and this Republican douchebag is trying to tell us that them giving workers a higher wage, or basically us tying their hands and forcing them to pay their workers a living wage and give them health benefits, is a bad thing? It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Whoever's against this clearly doesn't care about the American people and cares more about corporate profits than anything else. Now, they mentioned in the article that it would have trouble gaining traction among even the Democratic Party, which is absurd to me because if you really want to show voters that you care about them, there's really no better way to do that than coming up with a federal jobs guarantee program that will benefit every single American. I think that if you're against this, you just reveal yourself as a corporate sellout. I don't like to really speak in absolutist terms like that, but how could you be against this? This is something that will undoubtedly benefit the American people who need jobs. It would benefit millennials who are getting out of school with thousands upon thousands of dollars in student loan debt. It would benefit homeless people. They'd be able to get a job and pull themselves out of homelessness, and it would help people pull themselves out of poverty. And automatically, with the article announcing this, that Bernie Sanders will be releasing legislation to guarantee a job to every American, you already have the critics speaking out against it because they care more about corporate profits than anything else. We're on to you. Americans know that we live in an oligarchy where the profits of large multinational corporations are valued more than the lives of ordinary citizens. What they're doing here is they're undermining capitalism. It's why we all hate capitalism. It's because all capitalism does is exploit the working class at the behest of oligarchs in this country. And they're saying that they want to continue that exploitation, and us taking gradual steps to level the playing field is bad because it's going to force these corporations to compete with the federal government. Boo-hoo. That's all I got to say. Boo-hoo. I don't care. If you can't pay your workers a living wage, which they can, but if you can't, and if you can't offer them health benefits, then you shouldn't be in business anyway. Go out of business. Bye. But I mean, we're talking about companies that they have CEOs. I mean, for example, the Walmart CEO that makes, 1,000 times more than 1,000 times than their low workers? That is absurd. What kind of a country are we living in where we allow grotesque levels of wealth like that to exist, and then we reward them by giving them more tax breaks on top of their greed already? It's absurd. So this is absolutely something that I think is going to be beneficial and will be a huge motivator for people to come out and support Bernie Sanders in 2020. It's great. So kudos to him for introducing this. I look forward to seeing the final version of this bill, but it's certainly a huge step in the right direction that would help American workers.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.